Gospel of August the 14th, 2015. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Some Pharisees approached Jesus and tested him, saying, "Is it lawful for a man to divorce his wife for any cause whatever?" He said in reply, "Have you not read that from the beginning the Creator made them male and female, and said, 'For this reason a man shall leave his father and mother, and be joined to his wife, and the two shall become one flesh?' So they are no longer two, but one flesh. Therefore what God has joined together, man must not separate." They said to him, "Then why did Moses command that the man give the woman a bill of divorce and dismiss her?" He said to them, "Because of the hardness of your hearts. Moses allowed you to divorce your wives, but from the beginning it was not so. I say to you, whoever divorces his wife, unless the marriage is unlawful, and marries another commits adultery." His disciples said to him, "If that is the case of a man with his wife, it is better not to marry." He answered, "Not all can accept this word, but only those to whom it is granted. Some are incapable of marriage because they were born so, some because they were made so by others, some because they have renounced marriage for the sake of the kingdom of heaven. Whoever can accept this ought to accept it." Gospel of the Lord. Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. We have the occasion of the Pharisees tempting and testing the Lord. They presumed of being scholars of the law, and they had this ace up their sleeves, what Moses had allowed them to do. And they wanted to see whether the Christ was going against Moses, so again that they could stone him to death. And they asked him, "Is it lawful to divorce his wife for any cause whatever?" Back then, the teachers of the law used to say, some of them used to say, for whatever reason, the man can just divorce his wife. It was a very pitiful situation, because back then the woman had no rights absolutely. She was not even considered a citizen of the place, of the nation. She was rather the property of her husband. So a woman that was divorced needed to go back to his father's house and live there. And one can only imagine what would happen when his father passed away. She would become nothing. She couldn't even hold the land that her father gave her. So it was a great distress for a woman to be divorced, and especially for whatever reason. The Lord reminds them. He reminds them about the first book, the book of Genesis. Haven't you read? And then he recites what Genesis said. God made him male and female. Man shall leave his father and mother and be joined to his wife and become one flesh. What God has joined, man must not separate. And they charged him. Why did Moses then command that man give the woman a bill of divorce and dismiss her? And he bluntly answers, "Because of the hardness of your hearts." Because your heart is hard as steel, because you don't mind about the woman. And he insists, whoever divorces his wife and marries another commits adultery. Many times we have heard preaching, many priests forgiving or forgetting what it said in the between, unless the marriage is unlawful. Canon 1095 reminds us all that there are two very important parts on the marriage. Today I have to preach as what I am. I am a Roman Catholic. I usually preach ecumenically and universally for everyone. But let me go back, especially because we suffer much within our church. Canon 1095 states that the person must be capable, that his consent, his free will, must be stated freely and completely aware, and that the person himself must be capable of assuming the responsibilities derived from marriage. Now, all of those factors are only apparent to us. We cannot ascertain absolutely that they are happening. We are content if we attain moral certainty. If we see it, if it seems like, then we declare that to be valid. But many times, years after or months after, some of them might come back and say, well, I was despised, I was rejected, I was fooled, the other played with me. Or even one of the parties did not disclose a mental, a physical situation that simply invalidates marriage. Why should we preach otherwise? We have to be very careful without saying that marriage is not forever. I would like to ponder too that our brothers, the Orthodox, call this sacrament the sacrament of love. For them, the basis of the sacrament is the love between the couple, and the sacrament is perfected by the blessing of the priest. For them too, divorce is possible because the basis has eroded or disappeared or was not really there. I present to you what I believe. I believe that marriage has to be forever. I mean, for the duration of this life, as the need to conservate the place and the parents for the offspring, for the children. Both men and women risk their own lives, and they enter into this commercium, into this trade, where the woman trades herself for the sake of the man, her husband, and the man trades himself for the sake of the woman, his wife. It is a given in between of them. Both of them are not making plans about being rejected and being adulterous. They want to find love and love eternal. That will not come granted. That is a result of your effort, your everyday effort of forgiveness, of kindness, of loving, of again falling in love every day and every week. And it must be the guarantee to your children that you will always be there for you. Everything else is the shortcome. Even if you remain married for 25 years and you decide to divorce yourself, it is a shortcome. You have short-handed yourself and your children. That is the reason. The love is the reason. Because we are looking for love eternal. And we have to fight for that love. That is the basis, what I believe is the reason for marriage to last through the duration of this life. Nevertheless, the Lord Himself says, unless the marriage is not lawful. Let us be careful to take into account every time that possibility, for only God knows the truth, the absolute truth. We can only ascertain. But hopefully we will not need to be judges, but rather true shepherds that look for the sheep of the Lord with love and kindness and with mercy. Until we meet in heaven, God bless you all, brothers.